Welcome into the Buck James Show, the post-Thanksgiving edition. Michael Westbrook along with head coach Buck James, and leading up to the state semifinal game against Conway for the second time this year, the Wampus Cats visiting Hornet Stadium. But Coach, let's first just go back to last week's game against Rogers. First playoff game of the season for you guys in the second round after getting the bye. And if you just look at the score, I would say everything went pretty well. How do you sum up having a week off and coming out and playing and winning the game 42-7?
Well, I thought we played hard. I don't think we always played well, but I thought we played hard. I thought we played fast. I thought defensively we played really good. Offensively we scored every time we basically had the ball. But to be able to hold those guys down to 7 points or less, it was an amazing feat. They've averaged 45 points a game all year long, and our defense played really well. And then our offense was able to respond and put points on the board and put a lot of pressure on them, and really just took over the game.
Well, let's talk about defense. Fowler gets an interception. Adamo gets a late interception as he kind of just ripped the ball away from another guy. Fowler did what he does. He just kind of hangs out in the secondary till one gets his direction and took care of it. How about that first? Because there have been a few games where the defense maybe wasn't getting as many interceptions, and then lately, turnovers have really gone your way.
Well, I think when people have to score in a hurry, I think, offense feeds off defense feeds off the offense. But, defense can play a little looser. They can play a little faster. They can take chances if we're scoring points. And, I think that's what we were able to do the last few games is our offenses went out and played really well. We've had solid defense pretty much every game we've been in. But it's easier to play defense if you know that when the offense is out there going to score. So it works both ways for our football team.
Held them to 88 passing yards. Again, that was a number that stuck out to me as something really important. When we do talk about the offense, I thought it was so key to get 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Early in the year, games were close, in that first quarter. But really, you set the tone early, 28-0 at halftime. And, Coach, believe it or not, your team has still not given up a point in the third quarter this season.
Well, I hope we can continue that. I hope that's something we can continue. That's a great thing coming out, and that just shows what our defensive staff is able to do in adjustments. And our defense understands what's going on the offense side of the ball over there and what they're seeing, and they get comfortable and they're able to play with their ears pinned back. They're able to make plays, and if you look at it, our time of possession on offense has been a lot greater in the third quarter as well. And it runs both ways. If offense has to make our defense look good, defense has to make our offense look good. And I think you combine that with great special teams, I think it gives you a good recipe to be successful.
Coach, one thing I've found out about you and your staff is that sometimes teams, they say, we're going to do what we do year in, year out. We're just going to be us. But I've actually found in some ways you guys adapt. I think of last year, you put so many offensive linemen on defense. This year, you're putting those defensive linemen on offense. We got to talk about Ivory Gilmore and TJ Lindsey. That's a new wrinkle this year, and obviously it led to James Martin's 5 touchdowns that he had last Friday night.
Well, we didn't get the ball in on the goal line a couple times in previous games, and we just felt like that we had to get bigger up there. We had to be a little bit more manpower. Had to have a couple more guys in the box, and it worked out good for us. We even threw a pass to TJ off of it, and we had fun with it. Our kids have fun with it, and it gives those guys on defense a little bit of energy. It gives our offensive linemen some energy, and it matches the number of hats that we have in the box. I mean, most people are playing 7 or 8 people in the box, and we have 5 or 6 guys up there blocking, and the numbers just don't match up. So it was just a wrinkle that Coach Bach and his staff put in. I think it worked for us. I think we got to be able to do more off of that. But it's something that really helps spark our football team.
And I would think for a guy like TJ, not that he would ever say no to going out on the field, but I'm sure it made him feel even better knowing that was in the playbook, that he might get a chance to catch a pass.
Well, he even showed some athletic ability.
I thought he was in.
He actually hit the ball on the pylon,
and
he made a really athletic move, put it out there one-handed, and I don't think the referees or umpires understood he could do all that, but we had fun with it. Our kids, enjoyed it. It gives us something to work on in practice. We don't do it very much. We just practice a little bit at the beginning of practice, and then we just just move on. But both of those guys are great athletes, and it gives us a chance to be a bigger, powerful football team. And hopefully down the road, that's something that will help spark us.
Okay, well, we got to talk about Conway, 34-16 last time around, but it was a late James Martin touchdown that really put it away. That game was pretty close to the very end. Just like when you played Cabot, it was close to the very end. So those are the teams that you could see Cabot again next week if we win. So when you talk about Conway, what did you see on that game film? I mean, we know they're fast. We know they want to just go score and just try to do it that way. But what did you see on that game film that you're going to be working on tonight?
Well, we've got to be better, that's for sure, because they're going to be better. And, mistakes were probably the key of the game. Had so many turnovers and missed opportunities, really, for both teams. It was sort of a sloppy game. I don't believe it'll be that way this time. I think the team that plays the cleanest, team that has the least amount of penalties, and team that is able to execute is going to be the best team tonight. And, we never thought that we might have to win 2 conference championships in a row to win a state championship, but that's the way it might end up coming out to be. And our football team's got to be prepared. This is a good football team we're playing tonight. Coach Fimple and his staff have done an incredible job of getting these guys where they play at a high level. They've mowed through everybody they've played all year long, and they expect to be good tonight and they expect to play well. They think they can win, and we got to go out there and play a very disciplined football game. We've got to go out there and play very hard. We've got to compete, and we've got to cut down the mistakes and the penalties.
Yeah, I think the feel around the state even was that we thought Conway would probably go up to Fayetteville and beat them, but to see that score 37-0, that was really impressive. So they are rolling right now, that's for sure. Conway
has a good football team. There's no doubt about it. They're very talented at quarterback, very talented receivers. Their defense is a lot better than what they get credit for. They've got a very good football team. They're aggressive. They've gotten strong. They're where they're supposed to be, and it's going to be a big matchup. They have a chance to win a state championship. They realize that. The Bryant Hornets have a chance to win a state championship. This is a big game right here at Thanksgiving at our home place, and it's going to be, the crowd's going to be important. I think they've got to be into the game. I think our kids feed off of that, and we've got to create some home field advantage against these guys, and we've got to play really clean.
Coach, this question actually came from just a buddy of mine I was talking to, and he said, you got to ask him this. What is the pressure like to be in a situation where you're trying to get to your 5th consecutive state championship game?
Well, you got to enjoy the process. I don't really look at it as we got a chance to win 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or anything like that. We look at, this is what we're going to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we're going to play a game. And when you look at it that way and you enjoy the process, you understand what you got to do to go through the week-by-week thing, really the pressure doesn't bother you. It's when you start looking beyond what you're doing and, start counting your days before you have them. And I think you embrace the grind, you embrace the process, you embrace your players on your team, you develop relationships, you give them goals and expectations, you give them disciplines, and those are the things that we really do. It's not like we are trying to win 5 games in a row at one time or anything like that. We're trying to win a state championship in week 1. We go through this day-by-day process, week-by-week process, and the year-by-year process. When we start it in January, and we don't try to quit it till December, and that's really the what we do. It's not how many games we won in a row, because that's something you can't change. It's not how many championships you won in a row, because that's something you can't change. And it's not how many conference championships you won. It's you can't change that stuff. You can't change the past, but you can change the future, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to go out there and play football. Got to go out there and execute, and got to go out there and win it game by game, play by play, quarter by quarter.
Last thing, let's have a fun question to end this. Turkey or ham on Thanksgiving for you, Coach?
I actually had both.
Okay.
And I carved both of them.
There you go.
I'm getting better at that. When I first started, I couldn't carve it for nothing. And I actually did a decent job this time. I even got some compliments on how well I carved it. So, with age comes some success. And so, but I did have both, enjoyed both, and we had a wonderful time.
I've wondered. I think I'm almost at the age where I got to start doing those things. So I've taken life lessons from you, believe it or not. Maybe you can help me carve one of those.
Yeah, well, it hadn't been pretty, and we did it without an electric knife, and it is what it is. I think some people enjoy the turkey, but they don't understand the process of having the turkey. And the ham seems like it's carved when it come out, and I don't know how that works, but you just got to make sure it loosens up and you get it on the plate.
All right, Coach. Hey, as always, thanks for the time. We hope we're talking to you next week.
Hey, I appreciate it.
We got kickoff coming up next. It's Conway and Bryant, the state semifinals, for a chance to go to War Memorial Stadium for the state championship game. Stay with us.